Curious Kid Cast, here we go. Ooh, yeah. Questions poppin', minds will blow. Big ideas, they're taking flight. Let's explore, feel the light. Why, what, where, and how? Big answers, we'll find them now. Curious minds, the world will comb. Ask away, let's bring it home.
Hey there, Curious Kids! It's me, Andy, your host on the Curious Kid Cast, where we explore the biggest questions with the wildest science. My mom says I have a face for radio and a brain full of weird facts. Lucky for you, only one of those things matters for a podcast. Today, we're going to dig into something really deep. And I mean really deep. We're talking about digging a tunnel straight through the earth. Not just the kind of digging my dog does in the backyard when he's trying to bury my homework. Sorry, teacher. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you just kept digging and digging and digging until you popped out on the other side of the planet? Well, grab your imaginary shovels because we're about to find out. Before we start our pretend drilling expedition, we need to know what's actually inside the Earth. It's not just dirt all the way down, you know. Our planet is like a giant jawbreaker candy with different layers. First, there's the crust. That's the part we live on. It's super thin compared to the rest of the Earth, kind of like the skin of an apple. Next is the mantle, which is a thick layer of super hot rock that's not quite solid and not quite liquid. It's sort of gooey, like really thick oatmeal that's been cooking for millions of years. Anyone hungry? No? Just me? My little brother once made oatmeal and forgot about it for 3 days. Scientists called it a new life form, Mom called it a disaster, but I called it pretty good practice for studying the Earth's mantle. Then comes the outer core, which is actually liquid metal. Mostly iron and nickel. It's so hot there that the metal melts like ice cream on a summer day, except, you know, it would melt you instead of the other way around. Finally, at the very center is the inner core. A solid ball of metal that's under so much pressure it stays solid even though it's hotter than the surface of the sun. That's like being squished so hard you can't even melt. Talk about a tight squeeze. So, could we actually dig through all this stuff? Well, the deepest hole humans have ever dug is called the Kola Super Deep Borehole in Russia. That's a super fancy name for a really deep hole. This super duper deep hole goes down about 12 kilometers. That's around 7.5 miles. Sounds deep, right? But the Earth is about 12,700 kilometers from one side to the other. So our deepest hole is basically just a tiny scratch on the surface. That's like saying you've explored the ocean because you stuck your big toe in a puddle. Look, Mom. I'm Jacques Cousteau. It's like if you tried to poke through a watermelon with a toothpick and then stopped after just poking the skin. We've barely scratched the surface. There are some pretty big problems with digging deeper. First, it gets really hot. At the Earth's core, it's about 5,400 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the surface of the sun. Your shovel would melt. Your excavator would melt. You would melt. Not good. Then there's the pressure. The deeper you go, the more stuff is pushing down on you from above. At the center of the Earth, the pressure is more than 3 million times what we feel up here on the surface. That's like having 3 million elephants standing on your head. Ouch. That makes that time my cousin sat on my head at the family reunion seem like a gentle pat. I still have nightmares about his butt, but at least it wasn't 3 million elephant butts. And don't forget about the lava and liquid metal. It's hard to dig a tunnel through something that's flowing around like hot soup. Your tunnel would fill up faster than you could dig it. Seriously, sci-fi technology in the future, digging through the Earth is staying in our imagination. But that doesn't mean we can't think about what would happen if we could. Let's say you did have a magical digging machine that could handle the heat and pressure. Where would you end up if you started digging straight down? A lot of cartoons show people digging from America and popping out in China, but that's not how it works. The place exactly opposite you on the globe is called the antipode. That's a fancy word that basically means the other side. If you started digging from New York City, you wouldn't end up in China. You'd actually come out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, near Australia. Hope you brought your swimming goggles. Talk about the world's most extreme cannonball. Local kid digs to Australia, forgets towel. That would make a great headline. And if you dug from London, you'd splash down in the South Pacific Ocean east of New Zealand. Looks like you'd need a boat for most of these tunnel journeys. There are very few places where you can dig straight through the earth and find land on both sides. One of the few examples is Argentina and parts of China, which are nearly opposite each other. So if you want your tunnel to go from land to land, you'd better start in one of those places. Okay, so let's imagine we've built our impossible tunnel. If you jumped in, how long would it take to get to the other side? Scientists have actually calculated this. If there was no air in the tunnel and nothing to slow you down, it would take about 42 minutes to fall to the center of the earth. That's right, 42 minutes. That's less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show. It's also exactly the time it takes my dad to find his car keys in the morning. Has anyone seen my keys? I've looked everywhere. No, Dad, you haven't looked in the center of the earth yet. Then you'd keep falling for another 42 minutes until you reach the other side. So the whole trip would take about 84 minutes. You know what's really cool? This is the same amount of time it would take no matter where you dug your tunnel through the center of the earth. Whether your tunnel is short or long, as long as it goes through the center, the trip takes 84 minutes. It's like the Earth's own special magic number. The way you'd move is called harmonic oscillation. That's a fancy way of saying you'd swing back and forth like a pendulum. You'd speed up as you got closer to the center, then slow down as you approached the other side. But wait, if there was air in the tunnel, it would slow you down. You'd probably never make it all the way to the other side. Instead, you'd eventually stop somewhere in the middle. Which brings us to another weird question. What do you think would happen if you somehow stopped exactly in the center of the earth? Would gravity pull you down? But which way is down when you're in the middle? Here's where it gets really wild. At the exact center of the earth, you'd feel no gravity at all. Zero, zilch, nada. That's because gravity would be pulling on you equally from all directions. The Earth's mass would be all around you. Above, below, left, right, front, back. And all those pulls would cancel each other out. So what would happen? You'd float, just like astronauts in space, except you'd be floating in the middle of the Earth instead of orbiting around it. Pretty cool, right? But you wouldn't just hang there forever if you were falling through. Your momentum would carry you past the center, kind of like how a swing keeps going even when it reaches the bottom. Then gravity would start slowing you down as you headed toward the other side. If there was some air friction, eventually you'd slow down enough to stop right in the middle, floating in the center of the earth. You'd be the human yo-yo that finally stopped yoing. I know we've been pretending our tunnel is magical, but let's talk about how extreme it really is down there. Even in the crust, just the outer layer of Earth, the temperature goes up about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius for every kilometer you go down. That means just 10 kilometers down, which isn't even close to the center. You'd already be hotter than an oven. You'd be cooked faster than a pizza. In the mantle, the rocks are so hot that they actually move over very long periods of time. It's like extremely slow motion lava. This movement is what creates volcanoes and earthquakes. It's basically like my grandpa after Thanksgiving dinner, moving super slowly and occasionally making rumbly noises that scare everyone. Sorry folks, that wasn't an earthquake. That was just grandpa. The outer core is liquid metal swirling around in huge currents. These currents create Earth's magnetic field, which is good news for us because it protects us from harmful radiation from space. It's like Earth's force field. And the inner core? The pressure there is so incredibly high that even though it's super hot, the iron stays solid. It would be like trying to melt an ice cube by putting it in a fire, but at the same time squeezing it so hard that it can't melt. Even though we can't actually dig through the Earth, scientists still like to think about what if we could. Some have imagined a gravity train, a vehicle that would use just gravity to travel through a tunnel from one side of the Earth to another. With no air in the tunnel, this train could reach speeds over 28,000 kilometers per hour. That's about 23 times faster than the speediest roller coaster in the world. Talk about a wild ride. Another idea is digging tunnels that don't go through the center but still cut through parts of the Earth to make shortcuts between cities. These would still be super hard to build, but not quite as impossible as going through the center. Some people have wondered what it would be like if the Earth were completely hollow inside, like a giant chocolate Easter egg with nothing in the middle. If that were the case, gravity would act really weird. Inside a hollow Earth, you'd feel no gravity at all. If you were floating in the middle, you'd stay floating. And if you tried to stand on the inside wall, you'd fall back toward the middle. It would be like the world's biggest bounce house, except instead of bouncy walls, it's the entire planet. "Mom, can I have a hollow Earth for my birthday? I promise I'll take care of it." It's like being inside a giant hamster ball in space. No matter where you tried to stand inside, you'd always fall toward the center. Of course, planets can't actually form this way, but it's fun to imagine. All right, curious kids, it's time for our Curious Kidcast quiz. Get your thinking caps on and see if you can answer these 3 questions about our journey through the Earth. Question 1. If you dug a tunnel from New York City straight through the Earth, where would you come out? The answer is the Indian Ocean, southwest of Australia, not China like in the cartoons. So pack your swimsuit, not your chopsticks, though I guess you'd need neither since you'd probably be vaporized by the Earth's core. But hey, always be prepared, right? That's what my scout leader says. Question 2. How long would it take to fall all the way through the Earth in a frictionless tunnel? The answer is 84 minutes total. That's 42 minutes to the center and another 42 minutes to the other side. Question 3. What would happen to you if you could somehow stop exactly at the center of the Earth? The answer is you would float weightlessly because gravity would pull you equally in all directions. It's like when my aunt and uncle both try to hug me at the same time from opposite sides at family reunions. I'm completely squished, but somehow also floating off the ground. Help! I'm being loved to death! Well, curious kids, our journey to the center of the Earth has come to an end. We've learned that while digging through the Earth is impossible with today's technology, it's still super fun to imagine what would happen if we could. Remember that the world beneath our feet is an amazing place, full of extreme temperatures, pressures, and swirling metals that create our planet's magnetic field. Even though we can't visit in person, scientists are always finding new ways to study what's down there. If you enjoyed this episode of the Curious Kidcast, make sure to share it with your friends and subscribe so you never miss an adventure. And if you have any questions you'd like answered on a future episode, drop us an email at questions@curiouskidcast.com or visit our website at curiouskidcast.com. This is Andy signing off from the Curious Kidcast, reminding you to stay curious and keep asking those big questions. And remember, if your parents tell you to stop digging that hole in the backyard, just tell them you're conducting important scientific research. It probably won't work, but it's worth a shot. See you next time, explorers.
Hey,